everyone, it's Jacquee and Amy. We're back with another vlog. Do we call it a vlog or do we call it a podcast?
We're doing it. I think we're just both. Like on mine, we have it our vlog, but when we refer to it, we call it the podcast.
So,
and I'm still learning about podcasts, so
yeah, because there is a difference, right?
there is a difference.
Like it's slight. Someone like me wouldn't know.
The difference is that we're just doing video broadcasting. We're not found on like where you would find a podcast, which is just the
got you, like
just the speaking.
Yep.
So most podcasts are also video blogs too, but they do both. Right now, we're only on YouTube. But eventually, we will get on other things. I promise.
Watch out.
Yes.
Well, today it's gonna be a fun one.
I know. I'm excited about it.
I'm super excited.
This is a good idea.
I'm excited about our vlog today, and I'm also excited about the change in the weather.
Finally, some sun.
How about yesterday?
I know we talk about this every summer.
God, we are showing our age.
I know, and it's so funny because it's been such a great winter and spring.
I feel like I didn't see the sun for a month.
Yeah, for real.
So it's really exciting. So today's vlog is going to be something that's been requested, which is who are Jack and Amy? Who are we? A little bit of our own personal background. So what we did is we took questions that we've received and some questions that we'd like to ask each other, of course. And that's what we're going to do today. It's kind of going to be, it's almost going to be, not really, I was going to say like the newlywed game, in the sense of, I'm not going to answer for her, but I feel like I would know the answers.
Oh, I would know. So the questions I was going through, I'm like, I know the story.
Yeah, that's why she's going to do
This is why I have to ask you the questions.
So we have to be honest. We collected the questions.
Yeah.
We haven't read through them, per se.
No.
So it's really kind of going to be off the cuff.
Except for the ones that we picked out.
Yes.
But like,
I didn't read the ones you picked out.
Yeah, you didn't read out the ones I picked out, and I didn't read the ones that you picked out.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So we'll see. So it's going to be a good time. It's probably going to be 2 parts.
Yes.
And it might be the way we answer, I think we're going to split it up, right? So I'll start.
Sure.
If that's good. And actually it goes to both of us, but I think you can give the one answer for this. But the number one question we always get is, how did you and Amy meet? So we're going to take that away?
Sure, because I know somebody wants to always make sure that I add in that I was 8 and you were 7.
That's true.
When we met.
Because it matters now.
It does matter now. Because I always say, oh, we've been friends since we were itty bitties, but you always want to make sure, and really I was like almost turning 9. So, okay. I mean, it was a couple months away from being 9, but yeah. No.
And forget that anyway, because it sucked when I was under 16. It sucked when I was under 21.
Yeah.
But now, in my mid to late 40s.
You're like, you constantly remind me of but I do the same thing to everybody.
So do I. That's also when I know how old I am.
Yeah.
My very longtime friend Misty last night, her and I were talking, and she was talking about something. She's like, wait a second, am I 46? I'm like, no, you're 47.
Oh, right.
Because everyone's older than me. She's older than me.
Not 47 yet, people.
There you go. All right. So yeah, we've known each other since we were little. We went to the same church together. The church we belonged to was kind of in between our houses almost. Like, we didn't go to the same school. We didn't live in the same neighborhood. But
Yeah, we wouldn't have crossed paths.
No.
Typical Delco, we would know people. 6 degrees of separation of Delco. But we would not have crossed paths.
Yes.
Otherwise, unless it would be work or church or something like that.
Right. So we went to the same church together for many years, and then Jack moved away for a while, and then this is like before texting, before the internet, before that's how old we are. I hate to say it, but we are, because we used to write each other letters.
Boarding school.
When you were in boarding school, we wrote letters, and then when you left boarding school, we lost a little bit of touch just for a few years.
Yeah.
Just like from like age 19 to like 22, 23. It's a little bit of, it's called the dark period, but you know.
Dark ages of our relationship. But then I would say to about 22.
Okay.
Because I got
I would have been 23. You would have been 22. Okay.
Because I got a Juno account, dial-up.
Yes.
And then we started emailing.
Because I still remember AOL Instant Messenger came out. and I would have been 23. You're right. AOL Instant Messenger came out, and I reconnected with your brother Jason. And I said to him, how do I get a hold of Jackie? I haven't talked to her in about 3 years.
Yep.
And then we started emailing each other.
That is right.
Yeah. Yeah, God, we're old.
That feels like a lifetime.
Before the internet.
Okay. Let's say
Wait,
that.
can I just say though, I did have a client, she does a long distance relationship with her boyfriend, and I said to her, do yourself a favor and go old school and write each other's letters.
Man. Wasn't that great?
I said, because your great grandparents, which would have been our grandparents because she's young, I said, that's what they did. They went off to war, they wrote each other letters. And then I told her about us.
I saw my letters. Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so
so
we still
true.
have our letters, and you know, it really kept us connected at a time where
You had to work at it.
Well, you had to work at it. You couldn't
work
call long distance until after 9 p.m.
Are you kidding? With the calling between not having enough money on the calling cards,
Right.
for those of you who remember that, and we had one phone in the girls' door.
Oh, yeah.
So the line was like, I mean, forget
for sure.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. But it is something nice to look back on. But I know people print out and save their emails.
They do.
So
They
I
do.
guess
But
that's
I don't
their
know.
age.
Handwritten letter. There's something
Oh,
about a
I
handwritten
agree.
letter. Yeah.
I
Maybe
agree.
again, I'm showing my age. So.
Yeah, true that. Well, that is the story of us. Our families were good friends.
Actually, this October, I know you guys always think it's so weird. I remember dates. This October is 40 years of us being friends.
No way.
Yes.
That
40
is weird.
years.
How do you remember that? Because that's when you started the church.
That's when we started at that church in October of 1984.
No way.
Yep. And we were instant friends.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Because that I remember.
Yeah, we were instant friends. Well, because, and we, same size family, and
Yeah.
your brothers are the same age as my brothers,
Right.
and you had a split between me and my sister. And,
Yeah. Because I was
But-
like smack in between you.
Can we just tell them a really funny story about when you used to come over to my house and you would be like, thank God I get a break from doing chores.
And your mother would leave me chores? Your mother would leave me chores. Do you want to know what it was? Because I remember it to this day. But excuse my language, son of a bitch. I bet my mother was like, now, Babs, you put that girl to work when she's there.
Right.
I had to do laundry. I was doing laundry at my best friend's sleepover.
And I can picture, because my mom used to write chores
So did we.
on the back of an envelope.
Always an envelope.
Right? And
Jack
so
still uses envelopes.
She would have the name,
yeah,
the
dash.
description, and
I
then
had
it's Jackie dash laundry.
laundry. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. I thought I was getting a night off. So, little fun fact there. The kids today have no idea.
No way.
idea.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine your daughter going to sleepover and being like, Mom, she put me to work?
Yeah, this is what I would get. Like, yo, you gotta come pick me up. I mean, is this legal? I'm trying to get me to do stuff. I know her.
Yes.
So, anyway, so that's how we met. And we've been close ever since. Now we're going to get into some fun questions. Just
Okay.
kind of shoot them out. I guess I'm going to start.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask you questions. How about that?
You're going to ask me how many?
No, I'm going to ask you questions.
Oh, yeah. You're going to ask me something, and then I'll ask you back.
Perfect.
Okay.
The same question? Or
No, what
yeah,
am I?
that's what I thought.
But
Great.
if you want to answer, I don't know, some of mine are good. I want to answer some of the ones I have for you. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, okay, so let's start in slow or whatever. What was your first paying job?
My first paying job besides babysitting,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
besides newspaper deliveries, because I did that too.
So
but I
did
feel
I.
like every kid in the 80s did that.
We did. We all did it. I did Town Talk.
I did Town Talk.
No way!
Yes.
I did Town Talk.
And you go and it was like a
And
quarter.
ask money for it was awful. I get so stressed out. Seth would ride the bike, and I had to run up to the door.
Yeah, we
and
did
ask for
Town
money.
Talk. And then even when I was older, my parents did the circular that used to come out. We used to throw them out the window into my dad's pickup truck. And we would do it together. So my dad would get like a lot of routes for us to do.
So we did phone books that way.
Oh, okay.
It was always a side hustle.
Yeah, for
My
sure.
mom would do phone books. We had a station wagon. She would stack them up.
My mom did phone books with your mom for a little bit.
Did she? And I would
Yeah.
sit on the top of them back there.
Okay.
And she'd stop me, run up, drop, run back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So besides
that,
the
I'm
typical
talking like
80s kids,
W-2 type of.
W-2 for my very first job was Chuck E. Cheese's. So,
You know, Roger and you have that in common.
did he work at Chuck E. Cheese? That's right, he did.
He was the mouse a few times.
Okay, so was I.
No way! Because he just loves that.
I mean, it's a bunch of teenagers working at Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, totally.
I was a cashier. I always wanted to be the, I can't remember what they call them, hostess or whatever, the birthday person. I always wanted to be that. You know, I could still name most of the people I worked with in that job.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that.
And I'm not going to do that now, but there's a couple people that are like coming to mind. I'm like, oh. But anyway, I always wanted to be the birthday person, and I did, and I was the cashier, but nobody ever wanted to be Chucky, and I was like, I will be Chucky.
Is it because it's hot?
I always did the dances. I always did. So sometimes they did Chucky, but I was too tall for the Chucky costume. So when I put the Chucky costume on, I had to look at the mouth like this and walk like this. And somebody like had to guide me around,
like the already creepy Chucky.
Yes. Wait, it gets worse.
Oh my.
I had long hair all the way down to my butt, and I had it up in a ponytail in the thing. Well, my ponytail fell out the back of my head, and all the little kids. Yes.
No. Yeah.
Chucky's a girl.
No.
Chucky. Wait. Can I also tell you I could still do the song and dance to Moni Moni, because that was our big song at Chuck E. Cheese's.
Sure, Raj could too.
Shoot 'em up, turn around. I'm just saying. I love it.
Well, I do know that when we were in Tennessee, Raj would, when people found out that Raj was Chucky, a good girlfriend of mine, she had a daughter that was like 4. And the first time she met, she was so excited because he was Chucky.
Oh, right.
But I think we understood he wasn't going to have the costume.
Right.
But the daughter did not understand that. Backfired a bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Kids were always crying around me when I had the costume on. Now they're crying when I don't have the costume on.
Yeah.
We didn't have a great experience.
There's a couple people that were really flexible in that Chucky costume. Like in the ball pit with kids. I mean, I'm like this. I can't even walk. And there were some people that jumped in the ball pit with the kids in full Chucky costume. I can't believe it. That job was so stressful. God, I would leave with migraines.
Oh, Chuck E. Cheese. Don't you look back now and like, oh my God. My life was so easy. I made Chuck E. Cheese stressful.
There's a lot of things I could talk about Chuck E. Cheese's.
Jesus, man, Joseph. I'm thinking of one, but we're not going to talk about
Yes,
that.
No.
Okay.
So yeah, but what about you? What was your first W-2 job?
My very first W-2 job was working at a consignment shop called Next to New.
Okay.
And they had high-end consignment clothes.
Ooh, okay. Like
Prada, Chanel, jewelry, shoes, bags. I loved it. It was in Lancaster.
Oh, nice.
I worked with my best friend. It was a really great time. My school best friend, my boarding school best friend, who was also my roommate. It was a great time. It was a great job, except I was broke. I think it really stemmed my love for clothing and shoes. She had so much class. She was very well to do and really presented herself well. And yes, every time my check would come, it'd be like $26.
Oh, yeah.
Crap, I gotta stop buying stuff here.
Oh, yeah, because we've worked so hard. And
nothing.
What do we make, $4
an
hour?
If that, and then I was buying stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would take the little tags off and put them in my envelope. She would tally up the envelope and then do payroll. And I was like,
oh, jeez.
Yeah. So that job probably wasn't ideal.
Yeah,
but it was a great job. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. And fun fact, my daughter works at a consignment shop.
I was just going to say, that's funny. Your daughter's first job was a consignment shop.
Yep.
Okay. Wow.
So, yeah, loved it. Loved who I worked with. I always say that a job is a job, but what makes or breaks it are the people you work with.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it's the clientele or your coworkers.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I have one for you. What is something people would never guess just by looking at you? I can think of several things.
Yeah, I got an answer. Okay. Well, I mean, I'll say something positive.
Of course, it would be positive.
Oh, okay. So I don't think people, just by looking at me, know that I went to the Ukraine and Russia when I was 14 years old.
That's right, you did.
And I volunteered in orphanages and put on plays. And this was just about the time where it was very touchy with Christianity. I went with a religious group, but I went by myself. But I was affiliated with a religious group. And I remember we had to sneak. We couldn't have open church, open prayer. there was something like a cross on the bus that drove us from orphanage to orphanage, and every day we were pulled over. And
Wow.
every day we had to show our passports. It was just harassment every day.
That's
But it's
really
funny
impressive.
because you look at that. There were no phones, texting,
Yeah.
no phone numbers, whatever. And my parents like, peace out.
yeah.
I
Bye.
said 3 weeks. See ya.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My brother went to Peru the same way.
Yeah. I didn't know.
We just
I
left.
just went. Yeah.
And then we picked him up a couple of
Yeah.
days later.
I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't. It was crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
But it was a great experience.
Yeah.
I did a lot of growing up. I think that's why I always wanted my kids to travel. But not just travel, but also see. Yeah, you think you got it bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was awful.
You're right.
I can remember running out the door sobbing because like they're very, they're very stoic people. They're strong people,
Mhm.
and they don't want you to be crying around these kids.
Wow.
And
And
it's
you were
just
kids yourself.
heart wrenching. Oh yeah, and it was really sweet because right before I left, I thought this sweetest little boy was tapping me on the shoulder. But I was loading stuff back into the van we were leaving for the day, and I was kind of ignoring it. I know it sounds bad, but in my mind we were trying to pack up and go to the next. It was always hurry up and get there type of vibe. And it was this little boy who had these flowers. And we had there's a language barrier. I had no idea what they were saying, but I remember being like, my gosh, this poor kid.
Hmm.
I mean, the way they lived was just,
Oh,
you
yeah.
couldn't even explain it. And you know what? The 45 minutes I spent there that day meant that much to him that he went out of his way, asked the house mother if he could get flowers and give them to me, and didn't even know my language. Didn't know anything I was saying when I was there, doing. It was really sweet. But it was a great experience. And I'm glad I did it. And that actually started off a lot of different things that I got involved in for donating time and but not just here, overseas
Right.
too. Like I really enjoyed volunteering. I really enjoyed doing that. I
Yeah.
think everyone does. I mean, it just makes you feel good. I always tell
Absolutely.
people, if not for anything else, do it for yourself. Be
Right.
selfish about it. Who cares?
Right.
People always say, well, you shouldn't do it if you feel, who cares?
No way, it
They're
just makes you feel
benefiting
good.
and you feel good about it? I don't understand. It seems like a
Absolutely.
win-win.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's that fun fact. And then I kind of on the other spectrum, I would say, just by looking at me, you wouldn't know that I was married when I was 20 years old. In 1998, I was 2 weeks.
Still to the same guy that's married you now.
Yes.
That kind of made it sound like you were married before.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Yes, we had
you and your
25
husband
years.
got married, you were 20.
Yeah, I was 2 weeks
Yeah.
for my 21st birthday. My husband was 25. Yep, I got married it was 1956.
I love it though.
No, me too. It's great, but it's funny because I have a 19-year-old son now. You have a 21.
I have a
20-year-old daughter.
Yeah,
She's almost
she's
exactly around the age I was when I got married. Could you imagine?
Yeah,
You could?
I could.
I couldn't imagine. I'd be like, Abby, what? We need to talk. Anyway, not that it's bit, but
Because I'm so old
it's
school.
not for
I don't
everyone.
know.
It's not for
No,
everyone.
you're right. I can't imagine her getting married, but at the same time I can.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I look at Sam, I'm like, oh, okay, everyone calm down. Or even Eve, who's about to be 16.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second, you'd be married in 4 years? What, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So it's just very funny. But yeah.
That's
How
a
about you?
good
Yeah.
Some people not guess just looking at me. That I know sign language.
Mm-hmm.
Not great,
Yeah.
but I studied it for a few years in my 20s, and I actually submitted a proposal. This is back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when I didn't really know how school systems worked,
Sure.
but I did try to submit a proposal for schools to have ASL instead of, not even instead, I think all schools should have American Sign Language, honestly, in their systems. So it's something I'm actually really passionate about, but what do I do with that passion? Not a whole lot, but I tried when I was in my younger 20s, but I could sit and have a whole conversation in American Sign Language, honestly. I'll never forget, we went to a restaurant as part of our assignment, and we were not allowed to speak. And
That's good.
yeah, so it's
learn it.
10 of us in a restaurant, and we were all signed into each other, and we had to order with the
Stop it.
but I'll never forget this experience because our waitress did not think we could hear her, how poorly she spoke of us. and she was
What?
Yes, she was very annoyed. I would rather they speak French or something because this silence is she. And we were all sitting there signing to each other like we could not believe that she was saying the things.
But do you realize French is learning another language because you're from another area. Sign language is because someone has a disability.
Right, I know. Which is why I think it should be in every school.
But brain can't.
I know. It was very.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Wow.
Yeah, she was very.
So imagine how they feel.
That's what I mean. Like, but they can't hear.
Correct.
The judgments being put on them. But to sit in that, to feel that discrimination and to feel that judgment based on that was just wild. So when the assignment was done and our teacher left and some of the other students left, there was about 4 of us left. We started talking, and I wanted to make sure she knew we heard.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't say anything to her, but she was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, so anyway, so that's something that people.
Yeah,
I know some American Sign Language, and I have a passion for it, and I love it, and I'm always trying to continue learning new things.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So, all right, you want me to ask you something?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that dreams have deeper meanings?
No.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah, you're right. I don't think you do. Mm-hmm. I do.
Oh, I will say this. What I say to people, and I mean it, I do believe that people that have passed that show up in our dreams.
Yeah.
And usually when that happens, for me anyway, it's not like a stupid dream.
No.
Something's going on. Like I'm walking and hey, my mother-in-law was there and she was saying this, that, or the other.
Oh, she was talking.
Correct.
Because my mom and I always notice when people visit us in our dreams, they don't say a word.
Oh, no. Oh, I get to talking every time.
Oh, wow, really?
And so I do think that is some way, for me, gives me a little peace on how they communicate.
Okay.
But I don't think that I have a dream about a tree falling and I'm floating above the tree and I think, what does this mean?
You don't believe in dream interpretation?
No. I'm sure. It's my subconscious mind, I'm sure, but no.
Oh, okay. Well, obviously you can tell I do.
Yeah, and you're real excited about it. I don't dream often. I don't dream often.
That's true, you don't really sleep.
Yeah, so I don't dream often, so that would suck. If I believed that, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm totally FOMO. Like you're having these epiphanies and shit? I'm not.
I look things up in my dream because there was a time where I kept having dreams that I was in a car that I couldn't get the brakes to stop the car.
Yeah, I could see turning that into something.
And but it was like a continual dream. And I looked that up, what that meant. You feel like your life is out of control.
Yeah, it's
things like that.
Like before you're
But actually, I will confess, okay, just in case anybody else has this dream, because no, it's a thing, because I Googled it, it's a thing. I used to dream that my teeth were falling out all the time. And usually in my dream, I would be chewing gum and I'd be like, and all of my teeth would just come out. It was very strange. And it meant that you were really concerned about your health. And when I was a young mother, not a young mother anymore, listen, my kid is going to be 21.
Yeah.
When I was a young mother, you remember how paranoid I was about just my health.
Not being there for your kids.
So, and I would have that constant dream.
To have constant dreams growing up. One of the Incredible Hulk, he was a bear chasing me.
Sorry.
See? Yeah. What, I got like trauma? Was that what that means? See what I'm saying?
And Google out.
No, that could be the only recurring dreams I've ever had was that and drowning. Always drowning.
Okay.
Always drowning.
Okay.
And it doesn't have a deeper meaning. I'm flipping paranoid of drowning.
Yeah.
Like if I die drowning, you guys should be like, oh my God. Because I know it's bad for anybody. It's real bad for me. Especially if it's off the bridge. Just put that out. Anyway, so don't talk about Baltimore, please. I can't deal. But yeah, so that's, no, I don't. But I see where you're coming from. And I also see that I think that if I was more receptive to it, it would have more meaning.
Okay.
I tell my husband.
That's a really good point.
I'm just not that deep. And he's always like, that's not true. It is.
No, you're not. And I don't mean that as a negative thing.
Thank you. No.
I'm sorry, but you're not.
I said, no,
you're not into a whole lot of psychology things.
No,
you're not into. Yeah, you're right. You're not.
I'm like, so of course it wouldn't happen because why would they waste?
I did feel like it just insulted you. I didn't, but
it didn't feel insulting at all. I say it all the time. I think if I was open to it, like anything else, I guess I would really get a lot from it then.
Yeah, you don't have a psychology brain.
Not at all.
Do you even like reading that stuff?
Do what they do, and
you don't.
If I am a self-help book reader, is that what you mean? But
Yeah, but even deeper.
but not
stuff.
no,
Self-help
exactly.
is more motivational.
Correct.
You love motivational stuff.
Love that.
But no, psychology going into
Correct.
the deeper meaning.
Why I do the things I do and say the things I say
Yes.
and respond and react to certain things. Yeah, I don't look at that.
Okay.
I just depends on the day. That's what I tell myself.
Interesting.
Roger likes to analyze me. It's cute. I'm like, okay, wow, I am really deep.
This is what we all analyze each other. Like, I get on phone calls with my brothers, and like they're hours. Well, they're not hours long because we're busy.
Yeah.
But they could. We usually have to be like, okay, I have to hang up because we're analyzing everything.
Wow. No way. No way.
All the time.
That's
My
so
one sister is
interesting.
not into that.
Yeah.
My one sister definitely not into that. But the rest of us are really. And my brother. But my two brothers and my mom were on the phone. Oh my gosh,
Oh, I do think that's valid. I think that my brain's just too lazy.
I don't
It
think you're
is
lazy, you're
valid
busy.
in the way
Your brain, you have a
that
busier
do
brain.
things. Yeah, I'm like undiagnosed ADD all over the place.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. Have a nice good one.
All right, what do you got?
The paper here.
Do you need your reading glasses? No.
I do not, although I was looking for them before I left. But it's okay. What was something you thought was a setback in your life that turned out to be an incredible opportunity?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I think you know what my answer is probably going to be.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't.
My biggest setback was when I got divorced. Stay-at-home mom and didn't have a career and no education. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I was 1950s stay-at-home mom, and I loved it. I loved every minute of that. And but actually, I mean, I was also super involved in my kids' schools, and I was PTA president, and
you were.
I was a very active stay-at-home.
There
mom.
you go.
You
were never home.
I was president of my mom's club when the kids were little. Then that turned into being president of the PTA.
Yeah.
Things like that. So, I never thought divorce was even something I would consider or happen to me. Honestly, I don't think anybody that goes through divorce. I was going to say,
a lot of people can.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that goes through divorce
understand that and felt it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so you sit there and you say, "Well, crap. Now what?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, now what? This is going to be my life, and what do I do?
Especially at the age that your children were.
Yeah. So my children were literally just before our birthday season. So I'm going to go with what age they were about to be was 5, 8, and 12. So they were very.
That's a lot on a good marriage.
Well, and my son does not even remember us being married. He was little, and then my daughter, who was 12, it was probably the hardest on her. But I look back at that time. So, I'm sorry, let me rewind a little bit. When I used to write down all my budget information.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, here's this, this, and this. And I had it on a piece of paper, and I folded it up, and I kept it in my back pocket every single day for the first probably 6 months of my divorce living in an apartment. Because my anxiety would get so high. Because I would be like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this?
Well, I think you should also say, how long were you married?
I always forget. I was
15 years. Jeez, I thought it was 15 years.
We were together for 15 years.
Okay.
So I was married for, it's either I was married for 12 and a half or I was married for 13 and a half, like almost 14.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. I don't really remember.
But I mean, you guys were very traditional roles.
Well, and you know what, too? Everybody always, when you finally get to the point of being divorced, it's like, okay, so do I measure it from when did I move out? When did I tell my husband I was divorced? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, wait, okay, well, it was in May of 2014 that I told my husband I wanted a divorce, and then it was February 15 that finally moved out, and everything was in motion. So that's why I always get confused too on how long I was married. So we'll go with like 13-ish years.
Yeah.
Maybe 14.
In traditional roles.
In traditional roles.
That's scary.
My husband was the breadwinner, and I was the stay-at-home mom.
Absolutely.
And,
I mean, you kept to a budget, but you didn't have to wonder where the money came from for the budget.
Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's petrifying.
And I always, if looking back on my marriage, and I think this is why I try to harp this into my children, is I wasn't actively involved in my budget either as a stay-at-home mom. I knew what my budget was for grocery shopping.
Sure.
But I did not.
You didn't know where you were.
I didn't.
Financially.
I did not know where I was financially.
Yeah.
And I did
think
not.
a lot of women do that.
Right. So
or men, depending on how the.
It is one of the things that I'm just like, if I had any advice to give to any married people, it would be both of you stay actively involved in the finances so that, God forbid, something happens, whether it's divorce or death or whatever, you know what the heck is going on and what you're doing. But I did. I used to walk around with a little piece of paper I'd keep in my back pocket for those days I felt overwhelmed. And then a few months into my divorce, Jacquee and Dawn called me. Their former girl was leaving, and hey, we have this position for you, and just everything just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of rolled into this whole, and then the first couple of years of me being at True Skin, I was strictly at home.
Absolutely.
So I could transition. I did have
Yeah.
little ones, and I can transition, and that kind of has transitioned as my kids have gotten older and have been here longer and taken on more responsibilities. So, I would say my divorce, and then 4 years into my divorce, I met the love of my life.
Yeah. And you think about, I think about when I, of course I knew, but even going through the divorce and everything, that there were so many times at that place where you couldn't see past, where you would even remotely be here where you are today with Andy.
Yeah. I don't know if you probably do remember, because I think I've mentioned it before. I remember you took me up to, at the time you had, your family had a mountain house, and we went up there for a weekend, and I just remember staring out the window.
Oh, I do remember you being just petrified.
And I just was staring out the window, and I was like, Jack, I just don't think I'm ever going to find anybody or be good at this, or...
You were defeated.
But you know what? My therapist said to me, because I remember being in therapy and talking to her about that, and she said, I need you to know that you may never find another person. Like, you may never...
Yeah.
So you need to decide...
Is that okay to live alone rather than with a spouse that that wasn't working out?
Right, exactly.
That's a great advice.
It was really great advice, and I can remember saying to myself, I'd rather be alone.
Yep.
Sorry, kids to watch. I would rather be alone than to keep staying in this unhealthy marriage.
Absolutely.
And so, and those couple of years after my divorce were awesome and scary and just emotional, and I was growing. And sometimes I drive by the apartment the kids and I had, and I'm just like, man, we had some good, we had some hard times in there. Don't get me wrong, it was hard. I mean, I took my 3 kids from their house, and I take them from. They still listen. My ex-husband and I have a really great co-parenting relationship.
Absolutely.
We lived down the street from each other. Even my apartment was just a few further blocks, but they could still walk. But it was still a 2-bedroom apartment as compared to a big house.
I know.
So
I know.
But I just look back at that time, and there was a lot of growth and a lot of change there, and
so true.
It was great. But yeah, I would say that would be my
Oh, I could totally see that. I mean, I knew that's what it would be, just because I knew that journey.
Yes.
And especially in that beginning journey. I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to that. Just thinking about it takes time, right? And then jumping.
Well, it's funny. So
oh my gosh.
I used to run a divorce blog. I don't anymore, because I feel like I finally came out of that position of like, oh, I'm divorced. But somewhere in the middle, I should say, those first 2 years were changing, and then by the 3rd year, I was like, I think I want to start blogging about this. I started writing a divorce blog, and there's this cute little meme. One of my girlfriends was going through a separation, and she's like, I don't know. I said, everybody thinks divorce is like, you're here and you're like, I want to get divorced, and you get divorced. And it's just not it. It's like a tango. You're like, 1, 2, 3 steps forward, and you're like, no, wait, let me try again. Let me do that. And it's like this whole big process. And I don't think people realize what a process that is that you get to. Because I had gotten separated before in 2011.
So that happened, but you reconnected.
Or tried
again.
I had oh my gosh, my son was like,
oh my gosh.
1. I mean, I was like, I can't do this right now.
And I always tell people that when they talk to me about the person, I was like, there's no timeline. You don't.
Nah, there's really not.
Right.
And if you think there is, or you think it goes this way, it just doesn't. So.
And life teaches us lessons.
Sure.
When we think that. I mean, that's how I've learned in life. it's almost like nothing surprises you anymore in that
Right.
way. You know, you learn it just through living.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
I don't even know what the original question was, so I can't ask it back to you.
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Ask me another question
All right,
now.
I'll ask you another question.